Hey, King Seth, man, I don't want you putting no filter on it, man. Cause this brother right here, when we in the back chat, this brother destroying the Bible, man. So, King Seth, can you just present an argument against the biblical narrative, like you always do, brother? So you know, Divine Prospect can have a starting point on finding out a point of contention.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I ain't gonna hold back, man. But I ain't just gonna go at the man like that, man. You know, the man come respectful. He don't really be doing all that barking. So why you want me to bark at the man? I ain't finna do all that. We finna
I'm
have
not saying
a conversation. That's what we finna do. Even though I'm gonna beat him up, it still don't matter. It's gonna be a nice ass whooping. You know how somebody cuss you out nicely and you have to think about it like, dang, he just cussed me out nicely. That's how I'm gonna do him.
Hey, King Seth, we had a conversation. You said the concept of Satan being able to be a part of the sons of God in the book of Job. But he's supposed, can you just bring that out? Because you was like, how's he condemned to earth, but he's able to attend that meeting with the sons of God? And you felt like that was a contradiction in the Bible, correct?
I feel like it's a contradiction to the whole Bible, to the whole premise of the narrative, period. If this is supposed to be the evil one, if this is supposed to be, you know, the person that's supposed to bring all damnation to earth and the evil tempter, you see what I'm saying, and all this, how was he just chilling with the angels? Like he had to be chilling with them before. And Jeshu said he act like I wasn't trying to be funny or nothing, but it's actually true. When you read it, it say the angels was finna go talk to the Most High and Satan with him. So that means they was chilling with him before they went to go see him. So they go see him, and then the Most High like, where you been? Okay, what you mean where you been? I mean, it's still, even though people say it's the same thing, it still makes no sense when you break it down in its simplicity.
Well, King Seth, remember you said, why would God ask him where you been, and he's supposed to be an all-knowing deity? Remember you said that, right? You said that was a contradiction.
That was number two. Number one was, why is the devil chilling with the angels and he can just walk in heaven like that? I thought I was ruling here. I thought he was kicked out. Just the evil one. He just Kool-Aid with the angel and just, yeah, I'm finna just walk with y'all. All right. Just like your friend that's down the street. All right, yeah, I'm finna go to the house. I'm finna come with you, but your mama don't like him, and he still come anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like,
the whole narrative around that, man.
So
do you want me to go get the book? Do you want me to go get the book and read it and show you word for word?
Hold on. Before you do that, let's let Ron Shields chime in and see if he has any disagreements on this.
Okay.
Wow. I love how he put that, man. I gotta use that, man. You don't mind, right, King Seth?
Oh no, sir. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say that to my kids. But anyway, so I think that's really interesting that he brings that up. I mean, in regards to textual criticism of, let's say, the books of the Bible, what we call the books of the Bible, the book of Job is believed to be the most archaic because it has dated idioms in it, and a lot of the linguistic structure is not as formal as we find, or as refined as we find in the other books of the text. So what that means is that this is something, and I'm gonna mess with Rob Bourne. This is something that was earlier in the social memory. I wasn't even gonna say that today, but since he brought it up,
you messed up. You messed up. That's strike one. Strike one. Strike one. Let's see how many times
that's in the social memory of people, and it's funny that he says that because it's not just my opinion. You know, I can definitely bring sources, since this is what we're doing, where scholars even say the same thing in regards to the text being an older story in the social memory of the people. So when I say that, to say is a very primitive view of what we're seeing in regards to the literature of the culture, right? So the problem with people who read the Bible is that they look at everything with one single thread, and that is unfortunate because that's not how the text is supposed to be interpreted. If you're going to do what's called midrash or exegesis, or a means of extracting the intended meaning of the text from the author to the intended audience, you have to put yourself back in their shoes during that time period, right? You can't think like Judeo-Christianity today. And that's the lens in which people judge these narratives and these ancient texts today. And that's unfortunate. There's a book called Ancient Israel by Lester Grabb, and he shows you the holistic approach that we should take in regards to analyzing the text. So I say that to say that this is a very immature means of viewing the earliest depictions of what this culture believed the two, I guess, prominent entities would be the Most High and Hashatan. He doesn't even have a name. You know, Shaitan just means an adversary. There's no specific title on this deity, so we don't know, you know, or can't even associate it with anything in the ancient Near East because it's general. Anytime you see something where the adversary or deity is general, a lot of times it is a literary device that's designed to say, well, it could be any deity that's opposed to the patron deity of the people, right? So it's normally in that way for narrative purposes, for purposes of telling a story and showing some kind of truth in the midst of the narrative, right? Which we get at the end, okay? So that's the first mistake people make, is when they say, well, that devil is the same one. Well, how do we know that's the same one that was doing everything in other parts of the book? There's no way you can say that. Adversary is just a title. I could just say the word enemy, and I can say, well, the enemy caused issue here. And then later on, 300, 400, 500 years later, I said, well, the enemy caused this here, and it's just the enemy. Well, it could be anybody. It's written that way purposely. Okay. And again, like I said, this is not supposed to be a mature theological proposition of the culture. Okay. It is something that was oral tradition that was then passed down and is used as a means of conveying truths to the culture. Okay. So that's why you don't have a proper name for this entity. That's the first thing. The second thing is in regards to this adversary coming up to the Most High. Well, here's the thing. This entity is not an adversary to the Most High. You're going to be like, what? Well, yeah, if you read it and the way it's supposed to be read, through the lens of understanding ancient Near Eastern culture, and if you read it through the lens of a lot of the idiomatic structures, number one, and number two, if you look at it without the presuppositions from Judeo-Christianity, this entity is only an adversary to Job, not the Most High. Because there is no, and again, you know this from looking at motifs or epics, right? If you look at motifs and epics, you don't have a situation where the enemy is subservient. The enemy is at odds. The enemy is contending. The enemy is showing some form of revenge or something like that when we look at ancient Near Eastern epics, okay? This is not the case in this situation, all right? In this specific situation, the actual Hashatan or the adversary is subservient to a chief deity, which means he is not his opposition. The deity is an opposition or posed as the opposition to Job, not to Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. Okay, so that's the second thing. And again, what I'm trying to do is demystify these things against the background of the ancient Near East. And through the totality of work that's been done on this particular subject matter, not just from religious folk, but from academia who sees it as a piece of cultural literature. Okay, so the way that it's told, it can be shown that this was not something that was written by a astute elite scribe per se. This is something that was an oral tradition passed on that was then captured by scribes later on and added to the litany of texts that would make up the Tanakh. Okay, so that's the second thing. The third thing is, so understanding that it is not abnormal that this entity is with the Ben Elohim. That's not strange. If you look at what was believed in those times in antiquity, it was believed that there were messengers that will go out and their jobs was either to deliver a message, number one, or number two, some of these entities were designated various regions in which they ruled over, right? Or they oversaw. We get example of that going into the book of Judges chapter 11. Okay, so in the book of Judges chapter 11, Jephthah, who was in there, was a king what is a king? But he became a king of Israel during that time. And when I say king, I mean unofficially, because the first king didn't come to Shaul, but he was a leader amongst the people. And he was going to the king of Ammon because the king of Ammon was having beef with the Israelites. And then when Jephthah was raised up, he went to, go approach this dude like, yo, what beef you got with us? Like, what's your problem? So the king of Ammon was like, yo, y'all like come across my territory. Y'all on A block, we on B block. It's like, yo, I feel like your peoples are encroaching on my territory. So therefore we gonna have to go to war. He's like, whoa, slow down, son. Like, hold on, you got to twist it. It's like, yo, we're not coming to wage any war with you. He was like, look, listen, our God, our power, our deity, he has given us victory of the adversaries that surround you. And therefore that is what we've taken. But your power, your deity has given you this land. That's what the text says. So the deity of the king of Ammon had designated a particular slice of land. And we go back to Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 8 and 9. That also holds something that is also an antiquated understanding in regards to these other deities, where they have a role to oversee things that was parsed out to them, right? Whether it's a land, a people, or whatever. This concept is, again, when you put it against the ancient Near East, it lines up because it was believed that there was different deities over different things, right? If you go into the Ugaritic text, which represents the best West Semitic Canaanite culture that we can get, you'll see that you'll have Yam, which is the Hebrew word for sea. And again, it's not just the Hebrew word, it's a cognate in Semitic languages, has been personified as a deity in the Ugaritic epics, right? We see it in the Epic of Baal. So we see things that have been, shifted for means of telling a myth that then explains a custom, right? So having this messenger, right, go about running to and fro, looking for things to do or to be active is something that was not unusual during that period of time. Okay, it's only unusual to people who are viewing it through the lens of Judeo-Christianity, who have been displaced from the historical context of how this thing is written, and even understanding the mechanics of how this is written, right?
All right, Ron, I don't want to cut your bill,
Okay,
but
cool, no problem. I go mute.
yeah. So basically, back on the Satan thing and mentioned in the book of Job. So basically, he's saying that you cannot pinpoint which Satan that is. That could have been any adversary. So I guess that would make it not a contradiction, King Self. So how are you going to defend that stance or premise against what Rune Shields was saying?
All right, well, I mean, between all that psychobabble that he just displayed in the words of King and the words of Black Jesus Minister, all that psychobabble, man, what you just said, just made one point that you're denying the simplicity of the writing. You're insulting our intelligence for the simple fact that if people are putting their life, I'm talking about the people, I'm talking about the things that they are reading, the way they're reading, and what they're being taught. Now, these people are being taught one thing and we're reading one thing. And you're saying, no, your eyes are lying. That's not what they mean. I've seen nowhere in the text where it say it's another Satan. I've heard y'all say that. That's because I feel like you're making excuses because you can't defend what the text says. And you know it's going to contradict it. So you say, oh, that's another Satan. Bro, no. People are reading the Bible with the simplicity. You're forgetting the how can you get over the simplicity of reading the reading comprehension of what you're reading? It says what it says. You can't sit there and try to psychoanalyze a verse and say it mean this and it mean that, but you got to go to this and this and this and that, the Ugaritic text and the Babylonian scribes on the wall. The come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Just to read that the angels walked in there with Satan, to understand that, I mean, come on. You have to keep it. If you're gonna teach our people, man, you have to start with the simplicities and see what they know first, man. I mean, I just don't understand. How can you miss that? How can you?
Right.
Oh, that's not that Satan. What Satan is it? Hold on, bro. You went, man. You went like, bro. And I ain't saying nothing. So I don't understand how it's one Satan, then it's another Satan, then it's another Satan, but it's only the adversary of Job. But the adversary of Job is also called Satan. So it's two Satans. One is the adversary of Job, and it's another Satan. Which Satan is this? Where we come from? You see what I'm saying? So if you can tell me where that's at, let me know.
Okay. So I wasn't gonna cut you off at all. I had hit the mute button by accident because I was trying to click on something on my screen, trying to bring something up. So wasn't trying to cut you off. But what I'm gonna say to you is one thing, and then I'm gonna show you an example of what I was trying to demonstrate. Okay, I'm gonna try to make it simple since you said that our people are simple, so we need to stay at a simple level to talk to our people. I disagree with that. I think that's the problem with our community. They're too simple. This is why we're so gullible, and this is why we're being oppressed and controlled today, because of our simplicity. So if somebody's reading something, there's a million examples of that. If I give a book to somebody, let's say, I don't know, Moby Dick, and I give the book Moby Dick to somebody and they read it, or a kid reads it, all right, the child has not been trained to look at a motif. They don't know what figurative language is. They don't know what allegories are. These are all literary devices that's contained in that book, Moby Dick. So if I give it to a child and the child reads it, the child is going to look at it and interpret it from a surface level. As an adult, your job is to introduce the child to all the other literary devices that are contained in it so they can fully comprehend what is the intent of why this was written and who the audience it was written to before they can extract it and apply anything that can work in their life. So I disagree that we should keep our people simple. Just because people are simple does not mean that we have to continue to keep them simple. Our job as people who are conscious and aware is to bring up to a level where they're no longer in 5th grade. They have to graduate 5th grade. They can't be staying in 5th grade forever. Just because they had a mother or grandmother, great grandmother, and they stayed on the 5th grade level of understanding this, that right there is a disservice to our community. That goes to show that we're trying to tell them, stay dumb, stay ignorant, and just read from the surface. If I'm taking this approach from a scholarly perspective, I'm not going to talk simplistic like that. Now, if you want to take that approach, that's up to you. So what I have to do is I would have to educate you to show you why you cannot continue to take that approach, nor should our community do it. Now, even with my approach doing that, I come across people who contend with that because they'll say the same thing. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. So sometimes these type of dialogues are not for those people. So if I'm in college and I'm getting my going for my PhD, right? You think the things that we talk about on a PhD level, I'm about to submit my dissertation, I have to dumb it down so that way a 15-year-old can understand it when I'm trying to give that information to people that's going to review whether or not they're going to give me a passing grade in order for me to get the PhD? No, the PhD element is there so that people have something to graduate towards. So we have to be able to set the standard. We have to set the bar for people to, not for us to keep coming down to the people. We've been doing that already for hundreds of years. And that's why community has not grown. That's why there's no growth. So I just want to say that my job is not to keep people dumb, keep people ignorant, keep people on the 5th grade level. It's to take them and graduate high school to get them into college so they can actually do something with the knowledge, right? So the second thing I say real quick is I'm gonna give you. Oh, hold on. I'm gonna give you an example and I'm done. So then you asked me to give you an example of another adversary. Okay.
No, let Divine get the last little punch in. That was gonna be on top.
Go ahead, Ron.
No,
I was gonna give him an example. So an example of that is very simple, right? If I give you a text, right, a particular passage, Leviticus chapter 16, okay, I want to show you something, King Seth, okay, and that's an interesting name too, Seth. Man, I wish we can go into that as well, right? But look, go to Leviticus chapter 16, okay, and you're gonna start at verse 8. And I want you to see something. If you have a Bible in front of you, or any brothers got a Bible in front of you, I want you to read it in the KJV. Then I want you to read it in the ESV. Anybody can read. One of y'all can read it.
Yeah,
somebody read it in the KJV.
Pulling it up right now.
Oh, okay,
Okay. Right now.
And then somebody else grab the ESV.
16:8.
I'm gonna put it on the screen.
Okay, cool.
You said 16 verse 8,
Yes,
Divine?
correct.
All right, KJV. All right, it says Leviticus 16:8 says, and Aaron shall cast lots upon the 2 goats, one lot for the Lord and the other lot for the scapegoat.
Okay, now somebody read the ESV.
Hold on, I get it.
Can you share your screen, Joshua? But you got to pull it up.
I'm on my phone and I'm using the. Oh, I see what he's saying. I see exactly. All right. So in
No,
the
it's okay. Just read
ESV,
it. Mm-hmm.
it says, and Aaron shall cast lots over 2 goats, one lot for the Lord and the other lot for Azazel.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this, right? Let me read it in Hebrew. Wade Natan, Aharon al Sene Haserim, Goralot, Goral Echad Yahweh, We Goral Echad Le Azazel, right? So here's the key thing we have here. If Aaron is casting 2 lots on goats, how come one is going to a deity and the other one is going to another goat? That doesn't make any sense. There's no word for scapegoat in Hebrew. That doesn't exist. Okay. Now, again, he's saying keep it simple, keep it simple. It's very difficult to keep it simple if you don't understand the context of what's going on here. Okay. So this scapegoat idea, you know, how it's been translated in the KJV is a concept that already existed in ancient Near Eastern times, right? But I'm not going to draw from that because it seems like I'm wrong for doing that. So I'll stay within the context, okay? If you are casting lots, right, for 2 goats, you reserving 1 goat for the deity. The other goat has to be reserved for another deity. That deity's name is Azazel. Who is that deity? The question would be, who is that deity? Because I'm going to show you that deity is actually considered Hashatan. So that's a question to King Seth. I don't know if he's ever seen that in the text before, but it's there. Can you tell us who that deity is? Is that deity friend or foe?
Hey, what chapter and verse is that again?
Leviticus chapter 16, verse 8. So King Seth, is that friend or foe?
Hey, I would like to rewind and go back and get my chance to speak if that's cool about everything that I mean.
Sure, I'll go mute. Go ahead,
I mean,
and just please answer the question if you don't mind afterwards.
All right, yeah. Let me do what I'm saying. What I mean when I say keep it simple, bro, is that we have pastors and we have people out here teaching people about Christmas and Easter and stuff like that. So when you go to them and you saying like what you saying to me, they gonna think you crazy. They gonna look at you. They gonna write you off. That's what I'm saying by you have to keep it simple. I'm not saying people are dumb and they won't understand you. My mama, you go tell my mama that she not gonna listen to you. My aunt, she not gonna listen to you. She's gonna say you crazy and go to church the next Sunday. And then she gonna invite you to church and say, baby, you need to come to church with me. We got a good pastor. Got food on Sunday. That's what I mean when I say you have to keep it simple. Because like you say, we're trying to teach our people and we're trying to understand what Job is saying. Because this is what we're reading. People not looking for it to say it's 3, 4 Satans. And it's a different one. That's confusing. That's total confusion. You just confuse everybody that you're trying to teach. All right, now let's go. Okay, let's go to Job.
King Seth, your mic.
Right here.
Your mic.
Go to Job.
Good.
Nah, that's you, man. All right, I'm gonna go to Job, 1st chapter, verse 6. In the it's the NIV. I got the KJV. I'm gonna read that one too. It say, one day the angels came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them. The Lord said to Satan, where have you come from? Satan answered the Lord, from roaming through the earth and coming back and forth in it. Then the Lord said to Satan, so Satan, let's see how many Satans there are. Is it, you saying this is Azazel? So this Satan right here is not saying Azazel. It's not saying nothing you saying. The text in the context is saying that one day the angels came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them. That's what the text say, man. And you saying on context? How? You went to another book talking about Azazel. This is Satan. So either the text line or you saying it's two Satans, and I want to know which Satan it is that's on Job. It's two Satans? Is this the same Satan that got kicked out, or that's Lucifer? Or can you prove to me that it's a devil, Lucifer, and a Satan? All three of these? And then I still can go down Job. That's just one of the questions. That's just one of the starting off points. That part. Don't get me started on keep on going down for what he did to him. This is just the beginning. So we can continue that. Hey, now, with all due respect, I don't remember your question. Can you ask me a question again so I can answer it, please?
Yeah, no doubt, King. So the question is, can you explain to us if the deity's name that shows up in Leviticus chapter 16 is friend or foe?
All right, let me see. Leviticus chapter what?
16 and verse 8. We had read both the KJV and the ESV for you.
All right, Leviticus chapter 8, verse 16. Let me see. Hold on. 17. Oh. Moses also took all the fat around the inner parts of the covering of liver and both kidneys of their fat and burned it in the altar. But the bull with its hide and its flesh and its offal burned up outside the camp as the Lord commanded Moses.
Wait, are
All
you
right, what
reading
deity?
Leviticus? Are you reading Leviticus 16 verse 8?
Oh, 6 verse 8. My bad. I
No,
thought you said
16,
8 verse
16,
6.
16 verse 8.
Okay.
It's on the screen.
Oh, it's on the screen. Let me blow it up. And Aaron shall cast
Yeah, you
lots
gotta
upon
zoom
two
in on this
goats.
screen, man. This is mad
One lot,
small.
one lot for the Lord, other and the other. Oh, damn, fool. Shit, I already had it blown up on my screen.
There we go.
Now I gotta shrink it back now. You ready? And Aaron cast lots upon the two goats, one lot for the Lord and the other lot for the scapegoat.
Now give him the other version, Jashu.
But hold on, do you know what the scapegoat is?
Yes, I sure do.
What is it?
It doesn't exist in the Hebrew. That's an English translation
Oh,
based on the Church of England's understanding of what that passage is.
what?
All right, ESV. Wait, was that a
Nah,
mic drop moment?
you gotta go to E. You gotta scroll up to E. Yeah, there you go.
I want to see another deity in this book named Satan or Job's personal
This one here.
way to say that.
Nah. I don't know what that is. Scroll
Scroll
up.
up. There it is.
Right there. There you go. All right, scroll down. Okay, and you can read that right there, King Seth.
All right, let me see.
I actually got a question about this as well. I'm gonna let him read it, but
And Aaron shall cast lots over the two goats, one for the Lord and the other lot for Azazel.
Now, whenever you're looking at ESV or any kind of critical edition Bible, you're gonna have footnotes, right? The same way that you'll see if any scholar was writing a paper, right? Click on A right there. Whoever's controlling the screen, click on the A right there.
But what did this have to do with the Satan and Job?
Because you asked me in regards to the adversary. And I was trying to demonstrate to you that the adversary has different names. And I'm showing you one of the names of one of the adversaries. So
Okay,
just
show
having
me the name of the one in Job.
We don't have a name. I just told you why there's no name. That's a literary device. It's written like that on purpose. It's not given a name. Whenever the name is not given, that means the thing has a low significance in regards to the overall narrative. That's why there's no name given.
Okay, well, I got this old school KJV, Lewis and Bow version, and then verse 6, it says the same exact thing. God, Satan, Job, and Satan. I got 2 albums.
Where you at?
Where you at?
You at Job what? What verse you at?
Job chapter 1, verse 6.
Yeah. I just explained to you that there's no name. The word there is Shaitan. There's no name, and I explained why there's no name for that deity.
You're saying there's no name, but everybody across the world that read this book knows that name right there is Satan, because it says Satan, Satan is Satan.
Well, let me step in real quick. So, Ron, can you prove that that's not a proper noun, or is that a generic noun as far as the word Satan? Because they do the same thing with God, right? They say, "Oh, well, God is the name, or El is the name," but we can find out that these terms are actually generic nouns, not proper nouns.
Correct. So, I mean, that's just looking at it within its context, right? So there's different things that the scribes would do on the manuscripts to help to point out whether something is a proper name or not. Typically,
Can you prove that it's two deities or demons or angels or whatever name Satan?
Well, I can't say that because that's a title. That's like you telling me, can you prove there's more than one father in the text when the word father is used? That's a generic noun. That's a common noun. If you want to say enemy in Hebrew, is Satan. That means enemy. That means adversary. That's all it means. That's like somebody telling me, if I see the word father in there, prove to me there's more than one father in here. If it says father here, it's got to be the same guy over here. It's got to be the same guy over there. That's not how you actually exegete the passage, right? It doesn't work like that. It's a generic common noun, meaning adversary or enemy. That's it.
Okay, so what you say, he was the enemy of the Most High, but he was the enemy.
No. I never say he was I never say he was the enemy of the Most High. I just said it just says he's an adversary.
I know.
And I'm okay.
Yeah, I know. You said he wasn't the enemy of the Most High. Correct. He was an enemy of Job. Correct. How could he be an enemy of Job? How can it be an enemy of Job when Job was an upstanding, righteous man? So say the Lord. He said it.
Wait, so how could he be an enemy? Because he afflicted him. That's why he was an enemy. He's the term. So an adversary is any opposite force that works against something that you're doing, right? So there are dualities, right? And this is common in any literature of the ancient Near East. You have a one that's functional, one that's considered dysfunctional, right? Because that's how the world is. It's opposites, right? So if Job is an upstanding person and he has all this stuff going for him, the moral of the story is that it doesn't matter if you're upstanding or not. That's not going to exempt you from having any adversarial things coming against your life. And this is obviously what happened here, because now what this did was they give him a point of self-reflection so he can try to understand what's going on. And that's the purpose of it, for him to reflect.
That's false. No, that was false. That's false.
Wow.
The reason why he got everything taken from it is false. The reason why he got everything taken from him is because the Most High made a bet with his entity or whatever you talking about. But in his book, it says Satan. That's why he lost everything, not to teach him a lesson, because I'm finna read it. Now let's read this. It says, Satan answered the Lord, from roaming through the earth and going back and forth in it. Then the Lord said to Satan, now this is the Lord now, he talking to Satan. Have you considered my servant Job? Then watch this, watch this. Let's look at this verse. There is no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil. Does Job fear God for nothing? Satan replied. Have you not put a hedge around him and his household and everything he has? You have blessed his work of his hands, so that his flocks and herds may spread throughout the land. But stretch out your hand and strike everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face. Now, I'm gonna put this in modern day terms. Let's go back to verse 11. Let's put this in modern day terms. I'm gonna say it like we'll say it right now. But stretch out your hand, strike everything he has. Bet he will surely curse you, and he will surely curse you to your face. Now you know that's how we would talk to our partner. If you don't do that, I bet you if you take that away from him, I bet you he fold up. I bet that's what he did. What you mean trying to test him? The Most High, your Lord, already said he is upright and blameless, a man who fears God and shuns evil. What lesson are you trying to teach somebody that's already doing this? He was already being blessed because of this, what he was doing. So it was not no to teach him no lesson. Stop that. That's false. That was a whole bit. But you gonna twist
All
it,
right.
right?
So
And say
I'm
my
a
eyes
respond.
are blind. I ain't got
No,
reading
I'm not.
I ain't got reading comprehension, right?
No, you are extremely
Yeah.
intelligent. This is why I'm wondering why we're having a very basic conversation, but it's okay. I have no problem with that, right? So I'm gonna say this, right? You're saying that this was a bet, and now that word is not there anywhere, but I guess that's how we would contemporarily call it, right? Oh, they had a bet, so God is just having fun in heaven with this other dude named Satan, and they're like, "Yo, let's bet on this guy right here," right? So what I'm simply saying is, because you want me to keep it simplistic, I can't show you what motifs are in the ancient Near East, right? You won't allow me to do that because that's how you understand what's going on here. But if you want to say that the
Go ahead.
reason why Job, no, it's okay. Look. If you want to say, because I brought up like maybe 30 sources in front of me, right? And I didn't know if you wanted to see these things because you don't have to take my word from what I'm saying. I'm trying to show you what the consensus is in regards to the literature, right? But I'm gonna say this. So if we can keep it simple first, and then I guess we can graduate to the sources. In regards to that situation we call, the betting situation, because you say he does good and shuns evil, but Job has never been afflicted before. Job never lost everything. So him doing good can be in vain. It could be in vain. So the proof is not to the deity, the chief deity. The proof is to the adversary. That's the proof to the adversary. And the proof is also to show the audience it's written to somebody. Somebody's receiving this text and they're hearing it, and there's something they have to get to understand. So let me show you. The first thing is, since we're going to just stick with the text, if you go to Job chapter 2, verse 9 to 11, because remember, you said, I'll start at Job chapter 1, verse 22. Let's start at verse 1, verse 22. Chapter 1, verse 22. Anybody can bring it up on the screen if y'all don't mind. So people can see it. Job chapter 1, verse 22.
I got you. Hold on. Job. What version? Any version?
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Or whatever King Seth read. I think he read from the King James, so you can pull up King James.
All right, KJV.
Chapter
Jeremiah.
1, verse 22.
Oh, Jeremiah, you already doing it?
Yes, sir.
There you go. KJV. You can go to KJV. Oh, okay, you got it. Oh, so that's not you doing it, Jashub, right? That's Yahoo.
Yeah, that's him.
Okay.
Now that's me doing it.
All right, cool.
It says,
What
in all this, Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly.
So in all that happened, it said that he did not sin, nor did he charge. Because remember, part of the bet was, yo, if you let me do this, he gonna curse you to your face. But that's not what happened. We see that in the first chapter. That's not what happened. But guess what? The dialogue continues to go on for almost 40 chapters. Why? because it's trying to explain something. The self-reflection is the core of the story. And then the zenith of the story is when the deity interacts with the character. And then at the end, if you go to Job chapter 42, if you go right to the end of Job chapter 42, it's very clear. Verse 1 says, then Job answered Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, I know you can do all things, and that no purpose of yours can be thwarted. Who is this that hides counsel without knowledge? Therefore, I have uttered what I did not understand, things too wonderful for me, which I did not know. Hear, and I will speak. I will question you and make it known to me. So he's trying to get some understanding from the deity. That's the purpose of allowing this to happen. I had heard of you, watch this, by the hearing of the air, but now my eye sees you. That's an archaic idiom, meaning that now I've interfaced with you. Therefore, I despise myself and repent in dust and ashes. You'll see the hubris of Job comes out when he's being squeezed. This is Job chapter 42, verses 1 to 6.
Hey, Ron, I would like to add, because King Seth is questioning the psyche of the deity at this point, because he's saying, why would a god make a bet with someone that's evil or Satan about a man that's righteous? That's what he's saying. He's saying that's absurd, or that's crazy, or like he needs to be in the psych ward. That's now, what Jeff's trying to say, and that's the narrative he's painting about the deity.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate, because then again, he just doesn't know how to read the text, right? And when I say that, I don't mean that he's slow or nothing like that. I would never say that, because again, after you told me about him, I started to look up some of the stuff. I'm like, yo, this brother's smart. He knows it, but what he's saying is my grandmama and them and her pastor, right? So this is what he's saying. When they read it from a surface level, he's saying this is how they're going to understand it. Well, nobody reads the text without presuppositions. That's why they read it the way they read it, because they have a presupposition. Those of us who don't hold to those presuppositions have an obligation to train people how to read this text. And that's the problem when people are not trained how to read it. But if you go to verse 10, verse in chapter 42, it says, and Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh restored the fortunes of Job. Watch this. When he had prayed for his friends, and Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh gave him twice as much. See, you're missing all of these key clues. They're right there in the text. There's a reason why this happened, because it's designed to teach an audience something. Hence why even after the bet was already lost in the first chapter, the first chapter, the bet was already lost. 41 more chapters still came after that. Why? Why did 41 chapters? Because if all you're getting is chapter 1 and 2, you're missing the other 38 chapters of dialogue. You're missing it. You're missing how when those things happen to you, how even your own spouse may turn on you. You're missing how when those things happen, that sometimes you got to question yourself and think, well, did I do everything right? Did not do everything right? What's going on with me? To kind of see what's inside of you. And then to say, well, I've not done nothing wrong to deserve this and this and that. And then have your friends come by you and your friends look at you all crazy to say, damn, I thought this was the man. How you lose all of that? And that stuff happened to him. And then you interface with the deity that created you and allowed the situation to happen just so he can reward you double. You cannot miss that part. And then goes to, oh, go ahead.
Let me say this, man. Let me say this. Like what Jashuba said was totally accurate. He hit the nail on the head. And I'm gonna say why I'm saying what I'm saying. Is because I don't need to know why Jeffrey Dahmer ate people. I just know the nigga ate people. I don't need to look deeper into the psyche of this nigga. I just know the dude ate people. And one thing I do, I know this man made a bet on my life, took children that I can't replace, took a wife that I can't replace. I don't care about you giving me double twice. You made a bet with me and I did everything you asked me to do. And you made a bet and made my life miserable just so you can prove to something that I can't even see against me. This is what I'm talking about. If when I read it like that, I don't need to look into the psyche no more. I see what you about. You playing with people's lives just based on the bet. So okay, you done gave me double. What if the devil say? What if the devil come back, man? Give me one more shot. Give me another time. Double or nothing. Double or nothing. He take him again. Then what? Then what? Then you just pray, and then what? And then what he said, just like a sucker at the end. Then I did not blame God for no wrongdoing. Why not? He the one that started the bet. He the one that asked the dude. Have you tried my servant? Have you tried my servant Job? How you not gonna blame him for taking your children, taking your wife?
Well, that's a good point, Ron. Hey, Divine. The Most High suggested Job to Satan.
Correct.
Satan
so
didn't choose Job.
Correct.
And then watch this. And he said he was blameless and upright. This is what the Lord said. Satan ain't say this. Satan ain't know nothing about him. Understood. The Lord said he was blameless and upright. God feared his son evil.
Gotcha. So
he been doing the commandments. You just hold on. So he just
Seth,
pick
you feeling yourself right now, Seth. You feeling yourself?
He is, but let him go. Let him go. Let him go. Let him go.
You told me to go in, didn't you? You know what I'm saying? So
I did. Go in.
So I was reading this to my girl the other day, right? And you know how they say, man, the devil playing with me today. The devil playing with me today. So I say, you know who's son him, right? You the Most High son.
That's what's up. I like that.
The Most High son. She be like, no, he didn't. I be like, look, he did it to Job because he had to keep the faith. I say, damn, that's messed up. He can play with you like that, just pick you out, just make your life miserable, just to see if you gonna pray to him and say, I love you. That's some narcissistic bullshit. That's some Donald Trump ass shit right there. If you think about it. Okay, my bad. I wouldn't me personally, I feel y'all. I don't disrespect y'all religion. That's how y'all feel. But I don't want to worship nobody like that. That's just me. He bipolar. That's bipolarism. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I yield.
Divine, are you there? Divine, are you still there?
Yeah, you're on mute, Divine.
Yeah, I'm here. Give me a second. Hold on 1 second.
All right. We'll cover for the time you go.
I think that
that's just too much logic.
When you get into a situation where it's an opinion on a deity, it can become, because we know everyone has their opinion, whether or not you and I agree with the movements of the Most High or this particular deity that we're speaking of. Once we get into an opinion about their movements, then everyone can speak. I would like to transition the conversation into more of concrete, tangible things that we could actually prove. You understand? Versus us speaking about our opinions about the movements of a deity. What say you, Joshua?
I mean, yeah, we can do that.
Okay,
I think Rob Bowen had a few subjects. Oh, you want to go in?
Yeah. My bad. I'm sorry. I had to take care of something at home.
Yeah,
so
after this,
the first thing,
I want to talk about politics after this. I'm talking about politics after this one, bro.
No problem. So the first thing I'm gonna say is interesting that you brought Jeffrey Dahmer up. I went to John Jay College, for forensic psychology, and one of the things that you do in forensic psychology that normal people don't do is you create a behavioral profile. And the reason why you do that is because you want to be able to identify these signs early so you can prevent these things from happening in the future, or you can see these traits in other people, right, who may be suspects in a crime. So the average layman is just going to say, yeah, he ate somebody, and that's it. But guess who's actually controlling the narrative? The law enforcement, the legal system, the justice system. So are we going to continue just to be people to say, yeah, he just ate somebody, and not understand the psyche of what's taking place so we can truly understand what's wrong with our society? If that was the case, then we could just see niggas on TV shooting each other and say, oh, they just niggas shooting each other. That's it. Why would you just look at the symptom and accept it as that and not try to go to the root and do what's called the root cause analysis and try to find out what's really going on? So that's the difference between the cannon fodder and the difference between those who's actually making moves. You know what I'm saying? So that's the first thing I want to say. I thought that was interesting that you brought Jeffrey Dahmer up because I studied a lot of that when I was in college. That's number one. Number two, I'm gonna say this. This text was really written to help to identify the source of suffering, right, amongst these Semitic peoples, right? What is the source of suffering? Okay. And people want to know or understand this in that culture. So this is why this was written, to explain that. Now, again, things happen all the time, right? We have loved ones that die. A person who don't believe in God can't blame it on God because God don't exist, right? That's the first thing. They can't blame it on God if somebody dies, if they get hit by a car, their child gets kidnapped and put into sex trafficking or something like that. They can't blame God because God don't exist. So anytime somebody who's outside of the scope of theism makes a claim to say, well, if God was real, why didn't he do this and do that? Well, you can stop doing that. You might as well just tell people that he doesn't exist, number one. And I say that to say, because during that time in that culture, in order for them to explain something to their audience, they have to write like this. The narrative is set up this way because what we may see as something as being illogical today is not how they viewed it at that point in time. Right. So you have to look at things within its historical context in order to understand it. Now, if you want to continue to read it and explain it, the way that your grandmother, understands it, or family members, and you just mentioned you and your girl, and I'm assuming she's still a Christian too. If she is, then she must have a million other outstanding qualities, because I could only imagine the kind of conversations you'll have in behind closed doors. You know what I'm saying, when it comes to this. But at the same time, you have an obligation to raise her level of consciousness, right? To be able to explain to her, look, this is a motif. This is a literary device, right? This is why this was explained. And this is why, like, you have an obligation to educate people who have rudimentary understanding of things. Like, that's our obligation, those of us who are conscious. So when somebody says, well, you can't tell a pastor that, he's going to ignore you. Of course, half the stuff that I say, any pastor would ignore what I'm saying. They would definitely turn it back to me, but I'm not saying it for them. I'm saying it for those who are interested in learning the intricacies of this culture and trying to unpack it and trying to say, okay, look, how is this really, how do I really read it? How do I really understand it? What tools do I need? And, how can the people who are seekers are the ones that I teach. I don't teach common folk. I teach the seekers. And this is the same thing we have to do. So this is why I'm trying to put it within its proper context. And again, if we have time in the future, another time, or maybe I could just email you all of the sources so that you can read for yourself how this should be interpreted. And if grandma and them don't want to listen, then so be it. I got a grandmother, that live out here with me. She didn't want to hear half the stuff I'm saying. And that's fine. It's not for her. Right. But if she decided one day to say, you know what, let me really see what he's talking about, she'll learn something. That's all I got to say.